Thank you so much for coming out and seeing me, Ms. Hudson.
I'm glad to be here, Nicole, and thank you very much for having me.
Oh, we're excited about your office. We're excited about you coming in, doing the selection process. I was very excited to find out that you are JD, because I thought that it was important to have somebody who understands the criminal justice system in a little bit more detail. So that was a plus, and then the fact that you attended Tulane was another plus. So we were very, very excited and cheering on for you. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, I'm a lawyer, educated here at Tulane Law School, went to school undergrad in the East. I'm from Houston originally, but, been living a little bit of everywhere as I pursue this profession. So, lived in Texas, of course, and then I recently in Los Angeles and now here in New Orleans, and very glad to be here.
Yeah, I did read about your Texas days. So how was that for you? Because you was real close to the city, but not exactly in New Orleans.
Yeah, I got used to the heat and humidity, of course, and then moved away to California and lost all my ability to take the heat and humidity, but grew up in Houston, lived there since '80, so that's home. Houston's a lot like New Orleans in a lot of ways, and so has some of that similar flavor. So, and then I lived in Corpus and then Austin as well.
Okay, now coming from the West Coast and then taking this position obviously in New Orleans, people believe because you came from such a large department, then the experience is good for us, so that we can make sure that we're getting effective monitoring.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I think the Inspector General chose me was that I do have consent decree experience, and that's obviously coming here as well. The mayor said it. The federal government is here in mass and is reviewing policies, procedures, issues, and they'll be making recommendations for a consent decree going forward. So obviously that experience definitely helped me in getting this job.
How important do you think it is to have an independent police monitor?
I think it's very important. It helps to build trust in the police department. Right now, if the police go out and say, hey, we're investigating ourselves and we're doing a good job of it, I don't know how many people on the street are actually going to believe that. But if they can run it through the investigation through me, I can review it to see if it was thorough, complete, fair, and objective, and then I can issue a report saying that. And I'm not a part of the police department. I don't work with any of them. We don't have any history together. If I can do that and say that, I think that does lend some transparency and then credibility to them.
Part of the problem that we've seen just from the citizens of New Orleans is it's hard to actually report. Because some people feel like, I've been wronged. A police officer, I believe, violated my rights, or I know violated my rights. But I think if I just go and report it, then nobody's going to care. How do we change that perception?
Yeah, I want people to know that if you come, you can, first of all, file a complaint in any station or with PIB. And their contact information is 658-5800. But if you don't feel comfortable dealing with the police, now you've got the police monitor's office. You can come into our office, which is located at 525 St. Charles. It's a little difficult because it's the Federal Reserve Bank building, so it takes a little longer to get in, but you can come in. You can go on our website, which is nolaoig.org, and go into the police monitor's function and file a complaint there. You can email us at policemonitor@nolaoig.org, and you can just email us and let us know what it is, or you can call us on the phone. We've got a couple of different numbers you can reach us at. We've got 681-3217 as our complaint hotline. And if you just want to find out information about the department or about department processes, you can call our main line, which is 681-3223. So if you don't feel comfortable with the police, now you can come talk to us, and we'll help you get your complaint filed. Now, the police are still going to investigate that, but know this, we'll be watching the investigation. We'll be updated on how they're handling it, and if you need status updates or any information about it, then you can call us, and we'll help you get that information.
Are you excited that the Department of Justice is here? I know you have experience working with them before. Obviously, they're going to be here and assisting with preparing that consent decree. Are you excited that they're here?
Very, very excited. Some of the tools that I learned in Los Angeles are best practices in a lot of different areas. Investigations, policies and procedures, training. And so when they come in and make recommendations, and they're looking at everything, believe me, everything. When they come in and make these recommendations, they're going to be really good for the department. and really help them shine.
You know, when we look at police corruption, and obviously we've had some, you know, I always like to point out on the show that we do have police officers who go to work every day, and they are committed to the citizens of New Orleans and making sure that our streets are safe. So it's vitally important, I think, to the very existence of the department if we do, and we have the ability to rid the police department of those bad apples so that the community can feel more comfortable, because we need to have police officers that want to protect and serve, and just protect and serve only.
Yes, we do, and we want to make sure that we highlight the good things that they're doing as well. So if we review an investigation or some issue with the department, if we think they're doing a great job, we're going to say that. The numbers I gave you to contact us if you want to file a complaint, you can also contact us and give us a commendation for an officer, and we'll make sure it gets in their file.
You know, how important is it to you, just personally, in your capacity, just to make sure you're out and meeting with the district officers, meeting with the district commanders, so that you know what's going on in each district?
It's very important. As the police monitor, I don't just serve the public, I also serve the police as well. And one thing we want to have change here in New Orleans is a culture where officers don't speak up about what's wrong. If they don't feel like there's somebody who's looking out for them as well, then they won't do that. One of the things we look at very closely is if officers do step up and tell something that they, or tell about something that they've seen, we want to make sure that nothing happens to them down the line. So we're watching retaliation very closely as well. So we're there for the police as well, and we need to encourage them. We need to watch what they do, because it's a tough job. And so actually on tomorrow night I'm going to go walk with the police out on Bourbon Street and then on Frenchman as well, just to see the things they encounter, because you really do have to look at it. It's one thing to read the law books and understand that the Fourth Amendment says X, Y, and Z. It's another thing to watch them have to execute it out there.
You know, one of the things that I tell my students all the time is reading the cases. I mean, because if you read the cases, obviously, you know, when you're reading the cases and when you're out on the streets, you do get a different understanding. And a lot of my students, they're like, okay, but the law says this in black and white, and I try to explain it is black and white and it's clear, but when you're applying the law in a courtroom setting, it does change. It changes a whole lot. And so I do think that it's vitally important for you to see what they encounter, because certain things, they need to be handled a certain way. And always public safety has to be first.
Yeah, absolutely. If officers don't feel safe, that's going to make whoever they're dealing with be unsafe, because they're going to use certain types of force, whatever type of weapons they have, and that's going to be a problem. So yeah, at all times we have to look at the officer safety issue. One of the things we want to do going forward in January, we're going to start our district council meetings. And so we're going to go to each district and have meetings every quarter where we talk about what we're doing and show people what officers are encountering. And so one of the things we hope to bring is this, I don't know if you've ever seen these modules, they're called Shoot, Don't Shoot, or where you simulate a police action, and you're the police officer and you have to make split-second decisions about that. I recently did one of those at a conference I went to, and I'll tell you, the first time, the hostage I was there to save got killed, okay? The second time, I just shot somebody, okay? So it was really, really tough, and you really have to show the public what officers face, and so that they can really understand it. So we're definitely looking forward to bringing that to the public.
No, I agree with you. We had the opportunity to actually go to a police training, and my son, he did that simulation, and so it was different because he did have a hostage situation, and it was just like, okay, so what do you do? Because he wants to be a police officer, and he's like trying to figure out, okay, so what do you, and he shot, and then he was able to make progress on the hostage. But I talked to a lot of adults who went through that same training, and they said it was very, very difficult. And one of the issues also is eyewitness identification, and we want to talk about that because, you know, that's something that's just a little bit more technical than we decided to talk to on today. But those things, I think people really have to understand that police officers, they have to make a lot of split-second decisions, and it's not a lot of time. People see things on television and believe that, you know, these scenarios are dragged out, but as you know, they're not dragged out at all.
No, they're not. I mean, they're really quick. And so one of the things, so we also have to look at the flip side of it, though, and say, look at, were they trained properly so that they will act or react almost automatically in some of these situations in a way that they're trained and in a way that's best practices in the situation. So we're going to be looking at both sides of it and trying to bring both sides of it to the public and to the police.
Yeah, and I think so. What do you want people to know?
Well, first of all, you haven't heard a lot from the police monitor's office since I got here. One of the things I've been doing is getting our systems in place, getting our office together so that we can review the NOPD and then make recommendations about that. So that's what we've been doing. But November the 10th at 8 a.m., we're going to be at the City Council's Criminal Justice Committee meeting, and we want to invite as many people as can come or can watch to really find out a lot of information about our office. So we're going to talk about what we're doing right now. And one of the main things we do want to talk about is that we've agreed. I know that in the past, the NOPD and the police monitor's office have not been able to share information, and that's all changing now. We've agreed on how we are going to share information so that we can make the NOPD's investigation process is more transparent. Right now, you talked about people are kind of afraid to file complaints. They don't know what's going to happen. Well, we're going to explain to them, here's what's going to happen, and we're going to show what happened, in fact, in your investigation. So we've agreed to that, and we want to trumpet that at this city council, this committee meeting, and just show the public exactly how we're going to be reviewing them.
How important is community outreach for you?
Oh, it's vitally important. One of the most important things we're going to talk about, and we're going to have these handouts on our website as well, is about how to react when you deal with the police. And you have rights, but you have duties as well. And so to the extent that you can, be respectful, follow orders, and note what you think is incorrect during the encounter. But the time to fight that issue is not while this officer is really hyped up and really, might be afraid for his safety. You take that notes and then you can come to us later, talk to your attorney later, but always know that you need to follow the orders of an officer. But then also know your rights. Officers should identify themselves. They have these new identification cards that have their badge numbers and other IDs. So you can ask them, I want identification information. And you can ask for a supervisor's name if you don't agree with how things go. But you need to kind of wait until the encounter cools down. So we're going to be out there in the community talking about these things and really kind of helping the public relate to the NOPD and vice versa.
When you look at where we are right now, one of the things that I think is vitally important is just having interaction with the church, because I think obviously the church community is going to be vitally important to help support your office, because people may be comfortable going into their churches and making those reports with the churches. So I know we talked about some community activities that you're going to be doing with the church organizations, and I just think that that's important, because I think people will go into their churches and say, hey, this was the wrong that was committed and we need to do something about it.
Yeah, and I had started to do a little bit of work when I first got here, and then I had to kind of put that on hold. But I want to just applaud the NOPD for stepping up and starting the Cops Clergy Community Coalition. And that is something that we're definitely going to piggyback on, because what we want to do is we want to educate the churches on how you can take complaints, how you can take commendations, and how you can get us information about what's going on out there. One of the things we noted is that there's a lot of officers out there that people have issue with. And they all know the names, but they haven't shared them with anybody. So if you don't want to share them with us, tell your clergyman, and they can tell us. Tell somebody so that we can get information about what's going on out there in the community. So, the clergy are going to be very, very important, and we're definitely going to feed off of that.
Okay, we're going to take a short break soon. Could you tell me the telephone numbers again to contact you?
Okay, we're at 681-3217 is our complaint hotline. And if you just want information, we're at 681-3223.
And then the website?
Our website is nolaoig.org.
Okay, and they can click on the police monitor link and then contact you?
Within the Inspector General's website, there's a tab for the Independent Police Monitor. Click on that and you can find out information about us.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Thank you for watching this edition of Real Life. I'm your host, Nicole Shepard. Remember, you must go out and vote on November 2nd. Stay tuned. We're going to return back with Independent Police Monitor Susan Hudson, and then we're going to have a brief interview with Congressman Gow. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned.
The American Sunrise Community's website and get the keys to your home.
council chambers. It's the Criminal Justice Committee meeting, and that'll be chaired by Jacqueline Clarkson. And one of the things we're going to talk about is what we're doing right now. Now that we've got this agreement in place with the NOPD to look at cases, look at information, we're going to talk about what this means for the public, what we're going to be doing going forward. So a couple of things we want to announce. A new database is being purchased by the Inspector General for the Public Integrity Bureau. And this database is going to allow us to, what it'll do is we'll have all the complaint information in there, the cases, the investigations, the interviews, the evidence, the photos, everything. And so we can monitor the investigation from our office. And so we can see that in real time and see what's going on during these investigations. If people call us for a status of their complaint, we can say it's in the investigation process, witnesses are being interviewed, etc. But this database not only does that, it also has an early warning system. I don't know if you saw recently in the paper they talked about Dwayne Sherman, who's involved in the whole Algiers incident during Katrina or shortly after Katrina. But one of the things they noted, he had 50 complaints. And so this system will catch somebody with that kind of complaint total and then cause him or her to be scrutinized more closely to see if they need training, to be pulled off the street, or maybe even removed from the department. So it's going to be vitally important, and we're going to be monitoring that as well as a part of this system. So that's something very good for the public going forward. We're going to try and catch people before they get to crisis mode. Also, we're involved right now in the use of force process. The Department of Justice has already come in and said we've got to look at how the department's use of force policy. And so we're involved in that. We've been involved in that, and we'll be involved in that going forward.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and sharing with me. Hopefully I'll have you back on soon, and good luck, and good luck to you in your meeting, and we look forward to seeing you out there on the streets. Thank you so much again.
Thank you much.
Thank you for watching this edition of